Think about what $3,000 can buy today. An Apple AirPod Pro, a PlayStation 5, or an Instax Mini 12 instant camera. Now, imagine that same amount being just $100 back in 1907. That year, two teenagers borrowed $100 to start what would become the Fortune 500 giant, the United Parcel Service. The UPS is now a leader in its field, outpacing its competitors. While success stories are inspiring, there's a unique beauty in the struggle, as you'll discover by the end of this video. Chapter 1. The Early Beginnings. Every story has a hero, and the hero of this story is James Emmett Cassie. Of course, his friend Claude Ryan cannot be ruled out of the picture for now, but this is James's story. He was born on the 29th of March 1888 to Irish parents, Henry Casey and Annie Sheehan. The family lived in the mining district of Candelaria, and his father Henry prospected for silver. Unfortunately, he contracted the coal workers' pneumoconiosis, or what you call the black lung disease. When Jim was 9, his family moved to Seattle in search of better opportunities. One such opportunity arose in the Klondike region of Canada's Yukon Territory. That year, over 100,000 prospectors embarked on a journey to this place in search of newly discovered gold. But that journey was never an easy one. Studies found that only 1 in 4 people completed the journey. Unfortunately again, Jim's father was one of those who failed. His ship wrecked and he had to return home to his family in Seattle. But it wasn't long before Jim got exposed to the world of delivery services. At 11, he quit school for obvious reasons and assisted as a delivery driver for the Bon Marche department store. He earned roughly $2.50 a week, which was pretty good for his age. During this time, he got accustomed to the streets, the corners, alleyways, the house numbering system, and basically everything you need to know as a delivery guy in Seattle. He grew into this role magnificently, which made it easier to find a higher paying delivery role in about 3 weeks at a tea store. By 1901, Jim was making $5 a week, life was somewhat okay, and he really wanted to return to school. So he had to make a decision, because it was either the delivery service at the tea store or school. He ended up dropping the former to further his education, but picked up a lower paying job at the American District Telegraph. Working the 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift, Jim delivered messages and ran errands. As fate would have made it, Jim made friends with another young messenger boy, Claude Ryan. Their job had many tasks, telling railroad engineers about emergencies, babysitting while parents went to the theatre, pumping a church organ for choir practice, collecting bail for people in jail, and delivering liquor, cocaine, and opium. After 2 more terms of school, Jim had to drop out because his family needed money and ADT needed time and energy. A year later, in 1902 to be precise, Henry Casey died, leaving 14-year-old Jim as the man of the house. Chapter 2. The birth of the delivery service currently known as UPS. At just 15, Jim's entrepreneurial spirit led him to start a messenger service, which unfortunately failed. After a brief and unsuccessful stint in mining, he returned to Seattle. In 1907, Jim was basically a 50-year-old man in a 19-year-old's body. That same year, he reunited with his old friend Claude Ryan and started another messenger service on the 28th of August called the American Messenger Company. They borrowed $100 from James Casey's uncle, who was also happy to help. He not only loaned them the money, but let them use his basement as an office. With $100 in startup funds, they acquired 2 telephones and 2 bicycles for long-distance deliveries and hired 6 boys. They promised the best service and the lowest rates compared to their 9 competitors and were honest about pickup times, a rarity in their competitive field. In fact, Jim's motto was, never promise more than you can deliver and always deliver what you can promise. Jim and Claude knew Seattle inside out and advertised their phone number, service and prices on placards throughout the city. They charged 15 to 65 cents per message depending on the distance, or 35 cents per hour for errands. The American Messenger offered 24/7 service, with Jim and Claude often sleeping on an old lunch counter they used as a desk in their tiny basement office. Competition was fierce, with customers often calling multiple companies and giving business to the first to arrive. Jim sought to streamline operations and succeeded when the King Brothers clothing store hired American Messenger for deliveries. This consistent business boosted their revenue. By 1911, they moved to larger offices and opened a second location where Jim's younger brother George joined. By 1912, their workforce had grown to 75 during the Christmas season. Jim's ambition extended to securing delivery contracts with Seattle's major department stores, aiming to replace their fleets of horse-drawn vehicles and offer consolidated deliveries to customers. Chapter 3. increasing partnerships. As time went by, Jim had a solution for the fierce competition his business was facing. Instead of buying them out, he started collaborating with his rival messenger services. In 1913, American Messenger merged with Everett Mac McCabe's motorcycle delivery company. Mac, an extroverted salesman, brought as much energy as Jim and Claude. His wife, Garnet McCabe, assisted with office operations, although she was known for being difficult to work with. The newly formed company, Merchants Parcel Delivery, had 25 messengers and 6 motorcycles, soon adding a Ford Model T with a bright red van body. By 1915, it was the largest delivery service in Seattle, boasting 4 cars, 5 motorcycles, and 30 messengers, covering 1,600 miles daily and generating $2,200 a month in revenue. Needing more capital to grow, Jim persuaded Charlie Soderstrom in 1916 to invest $10,000 in Merchants Parcel. Charlie, a veteran delivery driver who headed Fraser Patterson's delivery operations, was impressed by Jim and Claude's integrity and drive. The partners considered painting their vehicles bright yellow or different colours to appear larger, but Charlie advised against outshining their retail customers' decorated delivery vehicles. Instead, they chose Pullman Brown, a colour used on railroad sleeping cars to minimise dust and dirt, which evolved into today's UPS Brown. Chapter 4. UPS post-Claude. In 1917, Claude Ryan left the company, reportedly due to conflicts with Garnet McCabe. Jim's brother, George Casey, joined the Navy during World War I, but returned to the company 2 years later. The driving forces became Jim and George Casey, Charlie Soderstrom, and Mac McCabe. Under Jim's leadership, they continually sought improvements and growth. Jim developed a bin-based parcel sorting system and reached out to other delivery companies across America for ideas. Merchants Parcel secured its first major customer, Seattle's Bon Marsh department store. Merchants Parcel gradually won over 3 of Seattle's 4 biggest stores, specializing in business-to-consumer deliveries. Often, they took over stores' fleets and hired their delivery employees. For efficiency, Merchants Parcel started assigning the same driver to the same route daily, allowing customers to know their driver. Chapter 5. Expansion and rebranding as UPS. Business was booming and it was time to spread the wings of the company to other cities. The partners discovered that the motor parcel delivery in Oakland, California was having financial problems and bought the company with very little money. In San Francisco, there was already a company named Merchants Parcel, so they couldn't use that name in the Bay Area. George liked the word United, Mac suggested United Parcel, and Jim insisted on including the word parcel. Charlie added that their focus was on service, thus they named the company United Parcel Service, UPS. And it opened in Oakland in February 1919 with Jim as the president. They kept using the name Merchants Parcel in Seattle until 1925. In the following years, UPS continued to buy other delivery companies using shares of stock to save cash. In the early 1920s, the partners moved their headquarters to Los Angeles, which became a key center for them. They focused on local deliveries and bought a company with common carrier rights, allowing them to deliver packages of any size to any address in Southern California. This move also expanded their business into the regulated trucking industry. In 1922, UPS delivered 2,000 packages a day in Los Angeles, increasing to 29,000 packages daily by Christmas 1929. In 1925, UPS took over deliveries for 4 big department stores in San Francisco and added Portland in 1927. By 1929, UPS delivered over 11 million packages. Efficiency was key at UPS. They figured out the best driving routes, avoided left turns, and never backed up. Drivers held car keys in the right hand for quick starts, and the company timed and measured everything. Safety was a major focus, and today UPS has fewer than 1 accident per million miles driven. UPS also started an employee newspaper called The Big Idea in 1924. The strict rules at UPS have been compared to the military. While not for everyone, those who fit in found it empowering and rewarding. UPS promotes from within, and many top people started as drivers or sorters. In 1927, Jim decided to offer company stock to employees at $15 a share, which has greatly increased in value over the years. In 1929, at Mac McCabe's suggestion, UPS started air delivery with the nation's first air parcel service, United Air Express. They teamed up with 4 passenger airlines to deliver packages between cities like Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego, Phoenix, and El Paso. Jim and his partners wanted to enter the New York City market but lacked the funds. With the stock market booming, the aviation company Curtiss-Wright offered to buy UPS, including its air service. In the fall of 1929, Curtiss Curtis Wright paid $2 million in cash and 600,000 shares of its stock. UPS used the $2 million to enter New York and moved its headquarters there in 1930. However, the stock market crash in October 1929 reduced the need of expensive air parcel services. Jim and his partners bought back their company, trading Curtis Wright stock for UPS shares. It took 4 years to finalize the deal. They kept the $2 million, using it to capture the New York market. Soon, UPS had 159 vehicles serving 39 New York stores, delivering within a 50-mile radius of Manhattan. In 1931, tragedy struck when Mac McCabe's son, Gene, died. Mac's wife, Garnet, struggled with his work obsession, and nobody knew she was plotting something terrible. On February the 12th, 1933, she shot and killed Mac and spent 3 years in a hospital for the criminally insane. Jim lost a close friend, but continued leading UPS with his brother George and other strong leaders. In 1952, they applied the California Public Utilities Commission for the right to deliver between Los Angeles and San Francisco, which they got to in 1953. However, getting the rights for overnight delivery on the same route took 3 more years. From 1952 to 1986, UPS fought hard for transportation rights, facing tough battles in front of regulatory commissions and courts. Local carriers, the US Post Office, and regulators opposed them. Despite having a good track record in Washington and California, UPS didn't get full delivery rights in those states until 1966. They won rights to serve the southeastern states in 1967, Oregon and the central US in 1971, all of the lower 48 states in 1975, Hawaii also in 1975, and Alaska in 1977. The last state, Texas, was conquered in 1986. The Motor Carrier Act of 1980 deregulated interstate trucking, which led to a massive increase in trucking companies. Competition grew, rates dropped, and service improved. Jim Casey was central to these efforts, leading UPS for 55 years. He remained CEO until 1962, then continued on the board until he died in 1983 at the age of 95. Chapter 6. UPS Today. Today, UPS is the world's largest courier company by revenue, making about $85 billion in 2020. It leads competitors such as DHL and FedEx, which shows how much Jim Casey put into the growth of his company. Beyond that, the main international hub for UPS, called Worldport, is in Louisville, Kentucky. It's the 5th busiest airport in the world for cargo and the 3rd busiest in the US, behind FedEx's hub in Memphis and Ted Stevens Airport in Anchorage. In 2017, UPS delivered over 19 million packages each day, adding up to 5.1 billion packages for the year. With over 454,000 employees, it's one of the largest private employers in the world. UPS's brown trucks and uniforms are well known everywhere. The company has around 118,000 vehicles, bringing in over $33.9 billion from its American trucking operations, much more than that of FedEx and the other rivals. Perhaps everything does happen for a reason. The circumstances of Jim's childhood made it possible to create one of the greatest companies of all time. Please do share your thoughts in the comments. As always, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content.